Base. We are holding 2 lines from the bottom of the Amud. Rav Ada Umide Kometaretz. The first 3 lines from the bottom. Umide Kometaretz Rav Ada Barava. This is in the middle of an inyan. So let me just recap what we learned on Friday. We learned on Friday the Mishnah that brings a machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva regarding the psilois. We're using wicks for Shabbos candles, and a person is using for his Shabbos candles pieces of a garment that he's rolling up as a wick. So there's a machlokes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva whether it can be used for Shabbos candles. So the pshat that the Gemara here said in the name of Rav Ada Barava was that this was talking about on Yom Tov. Yom Tov fell out on Erev Shabbos, and there's an issue of noilad, which means that if you take a garment that was a keli that could be used, and then you singe it, you burn it, and then it's not a keli anymore because it's not the minimum size to be a garment, so now it's muktzah. It can't be used anymore. So how could you light it? That's the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Akiva, on the other hand, says that even before you light it, it's already not a keli because it was folded up as a wick, and therefore there's no issue of muktzah here, there's no issue of noilad. So this is all based on the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says that there's an issue with noilad and Yom Tov, and the example Rabbi Yehuda used was that if you want to use any kelim to put into a fireplace, it's a keli is a keli that could be used for anything. You were planning on using it, and therefore it's not muktzah. When you have something which is noilat, that it comes into being on Yom Tov, and it wasn't expected to be this way, so therefore this is something new, and you weren't expected to use it, so that's muktzah. So therefore shivrei kelim, he says, when a keli breaks and it becomes a noilat, it's a new thing, so that's muktzah, you can't use it on Yom Tov. That's the basis of Rav Ada Bar Ava's teretz. So the Gemara now will question this. If Rav Ada Bar Av is explaining our Mishnah here, the machlokes of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva, based on Rabbi Yehuda's opinion that there's an issue with noilad on Yom Tov, Shma Mina, so this proves that Rabbi Yehuda is Sfirelei, that he holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Fragt the Gemara, Umi Omar Rav Ada Bar Ava Hachi? Did Rav Ada Bar Ava say this, that does he hold like Rabbi Yehuda? Omar Rav Ada Bar Ava, but we know Rav Ada Bar Ava said the following: Nachri shechokak kav bebikas Yisrael, a guy that carved out a keli, the measurement of a kav, bebikas Yisrael, in a log of wood that belongs to a yid. So the guy went and took this log and created this new keli on Yom Tov. It's noilat. It's a new thing that was created on Yom Tov. It obviously was not presumed or planned on using it before Yom Tov. So since this is new, it's muktzah and it shouldn't be allowed to be used if you're going to follow Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. But Rav Ada Bar Ava says that masika be Yom Tov, that a yid could use it in a fire on Yom Tov. So we see that he disagrees with what Rabbi Yehuda holds. But this is a new keli that the guy carved out here on Yom Tov. And for the Gemara, l'divrayim, the Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Akiva ka'amar. When Rav Ada Bar Ava explained our Mishnah according to Rabbi Yehuda, he was only explaining the opinions of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva, but v'lei loy svirelei. But he himself does not hold like Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. He himself holds that in such a case when there's noilad, you could use it in a fire on Yom Tov. Dr. Gemara Rava Omar. Now the Gemara goes back to explaining the second machlokes of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva. The second machlokes was regarding, the second machlokes was regarding Shabbos candles. Could you use a wick that was folded for Shabbos candles? So Rava gives a much simpler answer without this whole complicated story that Rav Ada Bar Ava spoke about, that it was Shabbos, Erev Shabbos was Yom Tov, without all of that. He says very simply, Hainu time with Rabbi Eliezer. The reason why Rabbi Eliezer holds you can't take a small piece of garment and fold it up to use it for a wick, you can't light with a wick that's not mechureches, which is not prepared, it's not, forgot the exact word in English for mechureches, just a second.
They're not charred.
Not charred. And it's
rags that's not charred.
Right, rags that are not charred. And also not with a shmata, with rags that are not charred. It has to be prepared in order that it should burn well. So Rabbi Eliezer holds it's not going to burn properly, and therefore the person is going to come to tamper with it on Shabbos. Whereas Rabbi Akiva holds that no, it's going to burn perfectly, and a person will not come to tamper with it on Shabbos. So that's the whole machlokes. No complicated matter. They're just discussing a simple thing, whether it's going to burn well or not. So the Gemara weiter. Now the Gemara brings back a braise that we learned in the Gemara before. We learned on Friday. Ela had Tani Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef learned in a braise. Gimel al Gimel mitzum tzomais. There was a braise that said that there's a certain Mishnah that spoke about a garment, and it was speaking specifically about a very small garment that's 3 by 3 etzba'os. Regarding which Mishnah did this refer to? According to Rav Ada bar Avis Pshat, it referred to our Mishnah over here that was talking about using a very small garment, and then when you burn it, it becomes less than that size and it becomes muktzah. But Rava that gives a simple Pshat and doesn't connect our Mishnah to muktzah, so that can't be the Pshat. So legabe what was it said, this thing of Gimel al Gimel mitzum tzomais? And for the Gemara, le'inyan tumah, it was said regarding the Mishnah in Kalim that discusses the minimum size of a garment for Tumah. The Tan we learned in the Mishnah of Kalim. Gimel al Gimel she'amru, the size of 3 by 3 etzba'os that was said regarding Tumah, chutz min hamalal. That's besides the hem. So it doesn't have to be 3 by 3, it has to be 3 by 3 plus the hem. Divrei Rab Shimon. The Chachamim say, Gimel al Gimel mechuvanos. No, when the shear was given 3 by 3 etzba'os, it's exactly 3 by 3, and you don't have to have any addition for the hem. So this braise that said Gimel al Gimel mitzum tzomais, that it's exact, it was saying that we should paskin like the Chachamim, that it's exact, and not like Rab Shimon's opinion. That's what it goes on. So now, since the Gemara before brought up this halacha of nailad on Yom Tif, the Gemara here is going to now bring additional cases regarding this halacha, and then it's going to return back to the pshat of the Mishnah. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav. So the first thing he said was, and this was quoted from a braisa, according to the Rishonim, that the first case here is what was mentioned before, which is a braisa. Masikim bekalim, you can use kalim to burn, to make a fire with it, because that was prepared to be used already before Yom Tif, even though you probably weren't necessarily expecting to use the keli for a fire. You were probably going to use the keli to eat from it or whatever else. But if you need it for wood in a fire, you can use it because it was prepared to use. Ve'em masikim b'shivrei kalim. But shivrei kalim that broke on Yom Tif, it's nailad, it's something new, and it wasn't expected to be used this way, so therefore that's muktzah. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. That's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. But Rab Shimon matter. And Rab Shimon says, no, it's permitted, it's not muktzah. That's the example that it said in this braisa. Now, another 2 examples are added in the name of Rav. Masikin bitmarim. You can use dates in a fire on Yom Tif. Again, the reason is because the dates are made for eating. You were planning on eating it. So because you were planning on eating it, so therefore, once you can use it for that, you can use it also in a fireplace if you need. Achlan, once you ate the dates, ein masikim begari neyen. You're not allowed to use the pits and throw it into the fireplace, because the pits is naila, that's something new that came out of the fruit, and that can't be used. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. This is Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. But Rab Shimon matir, and Rab Shimon again says that it's permitted. Ma'asikin be'goizim, a third case. You're allowed to use nuts in a fire. Achlan, however, if you ate the nuts, so then ein masikin b'klipaiseya, and you can't use the shell for the fire, because the shell, again, that became separated from the food, and this is something new that you weren't expecting to use in a fireplace, so therefore it's muktzah. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. But Rab Shimon matter, and Rab Shimon again regarding this case will say that it's mutter. So we have 3 cases that seem to say the exact same point. So the Gemara now will explain why we needed all 3 cases. Utzriche. And it's necessary to mention all cases. If it would have said only the first case, then I would have said, perhaps Rabbi Yehuda only said in that case that it's asur. Why? This object was first a keli, and v'hashta sheva keli. Now it's something totally new. Now it broke. It can't be used as a keli anymore, so it's something totally new. V'avalei noilat. So it's a new creation. It's sort of new. V'asur, and therefore it's permitted. Aval Tmorim, but when it comes to a date, the Meikara Garinen, the pits were there before inside the dates, and Vahashta Garinen, and now you have the pits. Eime Shapidami, so I would say the fact that you ate the fruit and you uncovered the pit was there all the time. It was just covered. So maybe this is not considered to be noilad. It's not like a keli that broke. So therefore, he has to tell me that in that case, Rabbi Yehuda also says it's aser. Going on to the third case, V'yashmin garinen. If we would only say the case of the date with the pits, havamina, I would say the meikara machasyan. Those the pits were covered, so you couldn't even see it at all. It wasn't accessible. V'hashta megalian. Now you uncovered it, so therefore that's enough to consider it to be something new on Yontif that's muktzah that can't be used in a fireplace. But when it comes to the shells of walnuts, the meikarim miglu, the shell is on the outside and it's revealed, it's there, and vahashta miglu, and now it's uncovered, it's there. Eime shapidami, the fact that you just separated the fruit from it, I would say, but still the shell was always there on the outside, so therefore I would say that it's not something new and you could use it. Tzriche, therefore Rabbi Yehuda again had to tell us that because you separated the fruit, and therefore now it's separate, it becomes a new thing, and you can't use it in a fire. This is the explanation of why we need all three cases. Now the Gemara tells us this was all said in the name of Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav, in the name of Rav. Hod Rav, and this halacha of Rav, Lav b'feire shitmer. This is not something that Rav said clearly. Rav never said this clearly as a halacha. Ella rather, miklale itmer. This was all learned from a story that happened that they understood that this is Rav's opinion. What happened? The Rav ochel tamri was once on a weekday, and Rav was eating dates. And when he finished eating, so he had the pits. What did he do with the pits? V'shada kashyaise lebuchya. He threw the pits into an oven, into a fire, to help the fire. Instead of doing baltashches, so he made a use out of it. He threw it into the fire. Amalei Rab Chiya. So Rab Chiya says to Rav, Bar Pachsi, son of nobles. We had this expression in the Gemara more than once already. This is the way Rab Chiya would refer to Rav. Son of nobles, because he was a son of great Talmidei Chachamim. Kenegdoi be Yontif aser. Equivalent to what you just did on Yontif would be aser. Because it's noilad, as we just said, and therefore would be aser. So this story that happened is the source of where it was taken that Rav holds that this is noilad and is aser. But now the Gemara questions this. Kibla minei, or like kibla minei. Did Rav actually accept what Rab Chiya told him, or did he not accept it? Maybe he didn't accept it. So I'll bring you a raya to this. When Rav came to Bavel, originally Rav was in Eretz Yisrael, he learned by Rabbeinu HaKadosh, but then he came down to Bavel. So there was an incident that happened when Rav came to Bavel, Achal Tamri, so it was on Yontif, and he was eating dates, V'shada kashyaise lechivasa, and he threw the pits to the animals to eat. So we see here that he didn't treat it as muktzah. He threw it to the animals. So it doesn't seem like he accepted what Rab Chiya said. My love, now the Gemara will distinguish between different types of pits. My love, b'parsiaisa, that this is talking about Persian dates, and Rashi explains the Persian dates, so they ripen well, and you can eat the entire fruit, and it doesn't. There's no remainder of the fruit that sticks to the pit. And therefore, when he's throwing the pit has no leftovers of the fruit on it, so it's nailad, it's a new thing, and it would be totally muktzah. So, and still, Rav went and used it and threw it to an animal and fed an animal with it, which means v'loi kibla, that he didn't accept what Rab Chiya told him, that he shouldn't be using it on Yontif. And for the Gemara, not necessarily, loi ba'ar miyasa. It could be we're talking about Armenian dates, which are dates that are not of such a good quality, and it doesn't ripen properly, and when you eat it, there's some remainder of the fruit on the pits, and therefore the Gemara explains, hoyel v'chazi agav imayu, because there's some of the fruit that's left on the pit, and that's not muktzah. So therefore he's allowed to use it and throw it to the animals to eat. So not necessarily is this incident a raya that he did not accept what Rab Chiya said. So therefore we say that he did accept what Rab Chiya said, and that's the source of what was brought before in the name of Rav. Amalei Rav Shmuel bar bar Chana l'Rav Yosef. Rav Shmuel bar bar Chana said in the name of Rav Yosef. L'Rav Yehuda da Amar. Going back to this halacha again, the Rabbi Yehuda that says the masikim bekalim, masikim b'shivrei kalim. You can use kalim in a fire. It's not muktzeh, but shivrei kalim are muktzeh. You can't use it in a fire on yontif. So if so, there's a big problem. Even if you're using kalim, which are not muktzeh, but kivin the adlik behu porta, once the fire burns these kalim a little bit, havalei shivrei kalim. So then it's not usable as a keli anymore, then it should become muktzeh. V'chi kamahapich, so if you're stoking the flames of the fire, b'yisura kamahapich, you're doing an action, you're dealing with something which is muktzeh. So how would you be allowed to do that on Yom Tov? And for the Gemara, the Avad kid Rav Masna, what you have to do is like what Rav Masna says. Amar Rav Masna said regarding a similar thing, Amar Rav, in the name of Rav, Eitzim shenashru min hadekel l'tana b'yomtiv. How about if you have branches of a tree that fell from the tree into a fire in an oven on yomtiv? So this is obviously noilad. It was first part of the tree, not fit for use at all. You weren't planning on using it at all. And now it's perfect wood in a fireplace. Are you allowed to use that on yontif? No, it should be noilad. So what do? Marbe eitzim. You add more wood that was muchanim, that were prepared, and therefore you mavatal it. Oh, masikon, and then you put on the fire on yontif. So therefore over here you'll have to do the same thing when you're using kalim. So you have to add other pieces of wood that were prepared in order to be mevatel it. This is the Gemara over here. So let me just mention Bekitzer that there's a famous Rashba that's brought in many of the Paiskim, and there's a very big discussion about this Rashba. Then you get to the Lashon that the Gemara said before, that when you're using kalim, and once it burns in the fire, the kalim becomes shivrei kalim. Now it becomes burnt, so it's not anymore roy to be a kali, and therefore the question was, if you're mahapich, if you're stoking the flames, how could you do that on yont if it's muktzeh? So the Rashba says from the Lashon of the Gemara is a raya, that when it comes to muktzeh, there's no isser to have hana of muktzeh. If there was a isser to have hana of muktzeh, the Gemara should have said that what's burning in the fire is from a muktzeh object, and you're having hana of muktzeh. Why didn't the Gemara just simply say that? Elamai, the Gemara says you're mahapech. Only if you stoke the flames is the problem. So you see that the issue with muktzeh is that you're not allowed to be metaltal, you're not allowed to touch it, you're not allowed to move it on Shabbos or Yom Tov. But there's no issue of having hana of something which is muktzeh on Shabbos or Yom Tov. That's the Rashba. It's the Rai is from this Gemara, and it's negayed to many, many different halachas.
It's always shiva. You would never be able to put a piece of wood. It's always shiva cave.
No, but so if there are logs of wood that a person has prepared before Shabbos or Yom Tov, that is, not Shabbos, but Yom Tov, for the fireplace, so then those are kalim that are, those are logs of wood that are prepared for the fireplace, so it's not muktzeh. But in any other case where there's a muktzeh, there's an isser to be metaltal, to do an action with it on Yom Tov, but not to have anar. But there's no isser anar on muktzeh. That's the Rashba. There's a long kuntras achron from the Alter Rebbe on this, and Siman Tov Kuf Zayin and Hilchas Yom Tov, a very long kuntras achron. There the Alter Rebbe proves from a Magen Avram that there actually is a isser hana of muktzeh on Yom Tov, and the Alter Rebbe explains, I'm just going to say one nekuda bekitzer, a very long kuntras achron. The Alter Rebbe says there's a difference between a hana de memele and hana that comes from a maisa. If there's a automatic hana, like in this case, you put the keli into the fire, and while you put it into the fire, it wasn't muktzeh yet, and then it's burning in the fire, and the hana comes to you memela without you doing anything. That kind of hana is mutar b'hana. A hana, though, that's caused by your maisa, you're doing a maisa, that kind of hana is going to be aser mitzad muktzeh. That's the Alter Rebbe, but it's a big arichas there. I just want to mention it over here, vart from the Alter Rebbe. Let's go weiter in the Gemara. So the Gemara Rav Hamnuna Omar. So now the Gemara goes back to the Mishnah, and the Gemara will give us a second pshat in the Mishnah regarding why the machlokes of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva b'negeya to the psilos of the beged that he's folding up and using it to light Shabbos candles. So let's see. So the Gemara na nupshat. Rav Hamnuna says, what was the machlokes of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva b'negeya to whether it's tamei or toher? So the Gemara brings for another source. We're speaking over here about pieces of garment that were less than 3 by 3 tfachim. And over here, the Machlokes of Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Akiva is dealing with a special leniency that there is when it comes to the tumah of a garment that's basically turned into a rag, a shmata, something that you're not using b'chlal. So because it's not a regular piece of clothing that you wear, it's a matlonius, which is again is a rag. So here there's a special kula regarding the halacha of tumah. And here there's a machlokes of Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Eliezer. Va'azda Rabbi Eliezer l'taimei, v'Rabbi Akiva l'taimei. Rabbi Eliezer follows his opinion, and Rabbi Akiva follows his opinion, as we'll see right now. Itnan, we learned in a Mishnah in Masechta Kelim. Pachais mishloisha al shloisha. When you have rags that are less than 3 by 3 tfachim, she'eskinu lefakik boyes hamerchatz, it's being used to plug up a bath, or lenayir boyes akdeda, to mix in a pot, lekanech boyes arechayim, or to clean a mill. So this is not something which is a regular garment anymore. It's basically a piece of rag. Bein min hamuchan, whether it's prepared. Bein she'ein min hamuchan, whether it's not prepared. The Gemara will explain in a moment what this means, prepared and not prepared. Either way, tameh. This is makabel tumah, it's tameh. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Yeshua argues and says, bein min hamuchan or bein shaloi min hamuchan. Either way, whether it's prepared or not, tahir. It's a rag and it's tahir. Rabbi Akiva argues and says, min hamuchan, if it's prepared, then it's tameh. Shaloi min hamuchan, if it's not prepared, then it's tahir. Now, what's the explanation of this Mishnah? What is the meaning of min hamuchan and not min hamuchan? So the Gemara explains. V'amarula Sola said, v'itei merabba barbachana. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Hakoil meidim, everybody will agree, zarkei ba'ashpa. If you had a piece of rag that's less than 3 by 3 tfachim and you threw it into the garbage, everybody will agree that this is not makabel tumah, it's tar. It's not a garment anymore. You threw it into the garbage. You have no use out of it. At the same time, everybody will agree that if you took this piece of rag and you put it into a chest, everybody will agree tameh, that it's still makabel tumah, because you make it very clear that you still want to use it, even though it's not a regular garment anymore, but you're saving it to use. So when is the argument here? What they're arguing is shatoloi b'magoid. You took this rag and you hung it on a peg, or you put it somewhere behind the door. So you didn't mamish put it into a closet, or so either you hung it on a peg, so that's showing that you're designating that you want to use it, or less than that, you put it behind the door, but you didn't throw it into the garbage. Either way, you didn't throw it into the garbage, but at the same time, you didn't put it into a chest. So this is in between. Rabbi Eliezer says, "Midoloi zarkei ba'ashpa." Since he didn't throw it into the garbage, his mind is still on using this. Okay, so therefore Rabbi Eliezer says that it's still makabel tumah. Now the Gemara explains, so why does it refer to this as shaloi min hamuchan, that it's not prepared? If he's saying that since he didn't throw it into the garbage, so therefore it's still makabel tumah, so why is he saying it's not prepared? The lagabe kufsa lav muchanu. Lagabe, a person that's taking it and putting it into a chest, it's considered to be not as prepared to the same extent. But still, if you're looking at it in its own right, this is considered to be prepared enough that it's makabel tumah. Rabbi Yeshua savar, and Rabbi Yeshua says, since you didn't put this piece of rag back into a chest, betule batle, you mevatel it, and you're not interested in using it. It's not enough the fact that you put it on a peg or you put it behind the door. Why does Rabbi Yeshua refer to this as muchan? He says whether it's muchan, whether it's not muchan, why does he call it muchan? Comparing it to the case where mamish threw it into the garbage, it's considered to be muchan. That it's not to that extent that he mamish discarded of it. It's not in the garbage, so therefore it's called muchan. But still, it's not muchan enough that it should be makabel tumah. That's Rabbi Yeshua's opinion. Rabbi Akiva. What's Rabbi Akiva's opinion? If you hung it on a peg, he agrees to Rabbi Eliezer. You hung it on a place, it's designated for use, and therefore it's makabel tumah. If you threw it behind the door, here he holds like Rabbi Yeshua that it's not muchan, and therefore it's similar to throwing it into a garbage, and it's not makabel tumah. So this is the basis of the machlokes in our Mishnah. Similar thing, when a person takes a rag, a piece of garment that's less than 3 by 3 tvachim. He folded it to be used as a wick. Is it makabel tumah or not? Rabbi Eliezer follows his opinion that it's still makabel tumah because he didn't throw it in the garbage. And Rabbi Akiva follows his opinion that no, it's not makabel tumah. Unless you hung it on a peg, it's not makabel tumah. Now the Gemara goes weiter and says, but v'hodabei Rabbi Akiva legabe Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Akiva retracted of the opinion that he said here in this Mishnah, and he holds like Rabbi Yeshua, which says that it's always that it's not makabel tumah at all, that it's always tahor. Where do we see this? We see this from the language in the Mishnah. Mimai, Omarove mediktoni psiles abeged. Because in the Mishnah it says, when it talks about this wick that's being used, it says the psiles habeged, the garment, the wick of a garment. Why does the Mishnah say the wick of a garment? Listen up, psilo shel beged. Why wouldn't it say a wick that comes from the material of a garment? It's not a garment anymore. It's a wick that's being made from the material of a garment. Why is it calling it a beged? Psilos ha beged. So what's the pshat? My psilos ha beged. What's the pshat in psilos ha beged? Da dayin beged. We're talking about a beged. It's coming to say, Rabbi Akiva wants to say the halacha, that although this is still a beged, it was not thrown in the garbage, but nevertheless, because on the other hand he didn't put it into a chest, so therefore it's going to be tahir. That's because it wasn't thrown into the garbage. That's the chiddush of the Mishnah of the Mishnah over here. Again, so the diak over here in the Mishnah that it says that it's a beged. So he's coming to emphasize that the psila of this beged, that because it wasn't because it wasn't placed into a chest. Because it wasn't placed into a chest to be used, so therefore it doesn't have the chshivas anymore, and therefore it's tahir. Now, in the lashon of the Gemara, it's not very clear where we see that Rabbi Akiva was maideh to Rabbi Yeshua. So the Rishonim discussed this, the Ritva and other Rishonim discussed this, and they say that because in our Mishnah, Rabbi Akiva was arguing with Rabbi Eliezer, and Rabbi Eliezer's opinion was when it comes to these rags, he compared both cases, whether he hung it on a peg, whether he put it behind the door, as long as he didn't put it into garbage. He compared both cases. So Rabbi Akiva in our Mishnah that was arguing with Rabbi Eliezer was also arguing regarding both cases. And Rabbi Akiva was saying regarding both cases, he called it a psilis ha-beged, and he came to clarify this beged, this that you say that it's a beged because he didn't throw it in the garbage, I say that this beged is tahir because he didn't put it into a chest. And therefore the Gemara is medayik from here that in both cases he argues with Rabbi Eliezer and he agrees to Rabbi Yeshua. Zog the Mishnah, Loi Yaakov Adam Shveiferes Shal Beitze. A person should not take the shell of an egg. So he's gonna make a hole in an egg and take out the egg from it and use this shell of an egg to fill it with oil. So the way they would do this is you have a lamp that instead of putting the oil into the lamp, so you have the egg that hangs in the mouth of the lamp and you make a hole at the bottom and the oil drips from the shell of the egg into the lamp that the fire should burn. So on Shabbos, you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to make a hole in the shell of an egg, and you fill up this shell with oil, and you place it on the mouth of a lamp that it should drip on Shabbos. That it should drip there. What's the reason? Why not? So Rashi here says, because the person might want to use this oil. If he's going to have a shortage on oil, you might want to take out this oil on Shabbos. And if he takes out this oil on Shabbos, so then he's causing the flame of the fire to be extinguished earlier than it should have. This is the pshat of the Rosh, according to Rashi, that he's going to be over on Mechabe. He's causing the flame to be extinguished. The Rambam learns a different pshat in this Mishnah, that the problem over here is that it's muktzah. Once he designated the oil to the lamp, so then it's designated for the use of this fire burning, and it's muktzah, so he's not allowed to use it. So therefore, there were geyser that the person might come to use it on Shabbos. And then the Mishnah adds, even if you're using not a shell of an egg, but even if you have a cheres, an earthenware a small keli that you use with a hole in it and it drips from that, you should also not do this on Shabbos, because again, a person might come to use from this oil on Shabbos. But Rabbi Yehuda matir, Rabbi Yehuda says in both of these cases that it's allowed. If the craftsman that made this lamp with this cheres or this egg hanging in it for the oil to drip, you connected it together in as one, so mitchila, from the beginning when it was made, it was connected together, then mutter. Then it's allowed. Because it's one keli, the person will remember, he sees that it's part of the lamp, that the oil belongs to the lamp, and he'll remember that he's not allowed to use it on Shabbos. Another similar halacha, you're not allowed to fill a bowl with oil and place it on the side of a lamp. And then what you do is you have a long wick, and the end of the wick goes into this bowl. There's no oil in the lamp itself, but the end of the wick is in the bowl, and it draws the oil from the bowl that's next to the lamp. So you're not allowed to do that on Shabbos, that the wick will then draw the oil from the bowl. Again, the same reason, because you might come to use the oil of that bowl on Shabbos. But Rabbi Yehuda matir, Rabbi Yehuda says it's allowed. So Gemara here is now going to explain why do we need all of these cases in the Mishnah if it's saying all the same point. But we need all of these cases. If we would say only the case where you're using a shell of an egg to store the oil, that's the case where Rabbanan said it's a problem that you might come to use it on Shabbos. Since the oil in that shell of egg has not become disgusting, the person might come to use it on Shabbos. But if the oil was placed in an earthenware, the me'isa, where the oil becomes ma'os, disgusting, maybe in that case Rabbana would be made to Rabbi Yehuda that were not concerned that he might use it. If we would say the case of where you put the oil in a cheres, maybe I would say Rabbi Yehuda. Only in that case that Rabbi Yehuda say it's permitted, because we know he won't come to use it. It's disgusting. Aval bahahi, in the case where you put it into a shell of an egg, where the oil is still fit for use, I would say that maybe he agrees to the Rabbanan that it's forbidden. Now the Gemara goes to the third case of the Mishnah. If we would say only these two cases, I would say, Bahani Kama Rabbi Yehuda. In these cases, Rabbi Yehuda said that it's permitted mifsik, because there's no interruption between, there's no break or interruption between the egg or the cheres where you're storing the oil. The way it was done is, it was within the walls of the lamp. They put in this egg to store the oil, or this cheres to store the oil that would drip. So it's within the walls of the lamp. So that's something that is as a reminder, the person, he will see that it's within the walls of the lamp. He'll remember not to take anything from it on Shabbos. Avokaira de mifsike, when you have a bowl that's near a lamp and there's a hefsek between the lamp and the bowl, maybe in this case you would admit to Rabbanan's opinion that would concern the person's going to come to use the oil of this bowl. So therefore you have to say that even in this case, Rabbi Yehuda says that it's permitted. And if we would only say this last case, I would say only over here Rabbanan said it's forbidden because the bowl isn't a separate, the oil in the bowl is separate of the lamp, so we're concerned the person will use it. In the previous two cases, since the egg and the cheres is within the walls of the lamp, I would say Rabbanan agreed to Rabbi Yehuda that a person will remember not to use that oil, so therefore we have to have all these cases to say that Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan hold of their opinion in all of these cases, even if there are all of these differences that the Gemara just explained. Then it said in the Mishnah, if you connect the shell of the egg or the cheres to the lamp itself, it's connected, so therefore it's mutter, the person will remember he's not allowed to use it. Tane, we learned in Abraise, im chibra besid u becharsis, if you connected it with plaster or with charsis, with clay, so then mutter. Then it's permitted. Fragt the Gemara, but v'hanan yotzert nan. In our Mishnah it says a yotzer, which sounds like that the person that made this keli, Gilchatchila connected it, the craftsman that made the keli connected it that way. Not that the person just comes on his own and connects it with some plaster or clay. And for the Gemara, ma yaitzer, when it says in the Mishnah yaitzer, it means ka'en yaitzer, similar to a craftsman. It doesn't have to be that it was connected like that l'chatchila, but it has to be connected properly, that the person should see that this is oil that's part of the lamp and he won't come to use it on Shabbos. Now the Gemara brings a story in connection to this halacha. Tanya, we learned in Abraisa, Rabbi Yehuda Pa'amachas. Once Shabbatenu Ba'aliyah's base Nitze Belud. We spent Shabbos on the second floor in the base Nitze in Lud, a place where there were many Talmidei Chachamim, apparently, as we'll see in a moment. Ve'eviu lanu, and they brought over there what kind of a lamp? The lamp that's described in our Mishnah. Shveiferes shel beitze, a shveiferes of a beitze that has a hole with the malanua sheman, and we filled it with oil, v'nekvanua, then we made a hole, v'anachnunua al pei haner, and we placed it on top of the lamp for the oil to drip into the lamp on Shabbos. V'hoyesham Rab Tarfin, there's a Canaan, Tarfin was there, and other older scholars were there. V'le'amru alana davar. They didn't comment about this at all, so we see that this is permitted. So this is Rabbi Yehuda's source for his opinion that it's mutter. Amrulai, so the Chachamim responded to Rabbi Yehuda, Misham Raya. From there you're bringing a proof. Shani Beis Nitze, the place of Beis Nitze is different. There's reason. Hey, there was reason. They were Talmidei Chachamim and they were careful. Over there we warned Chayshish they're going to use the oil on Shabbos, but in a regular case Chachamim wore geyser. Another story the Gemara brings, Obin Tzipaira, Obin from the city Tzipairi. Gorar Safsele Be'alisa de Sheisha. He dragged a bench. It was on the second floor, and the floor was a marble floor. So is there any issue of dragging a bench on a marble floor? No. What's the issue? This was Le'ela Rabbi Yitzchak ben Elazar. This was done in front of Rabbi Yitzchak ben Elazar. Amalei, now Rabbi Yitzchak ben Elazar said to him, Ishtuki loch, if I'm going to be quiet and not say anything, and he referenced back to the story that we just mentioned, Kedeshtiku lechavraya le Rabbi Yehuda, like it happened in the case of Rabbi Yehuda when he used this beitza for the lamp and all the other chachamim were quiet. Apparently Rabbi Yitzchak ben Elazar was there and he saw how they were all quiet and they allowed him to do it. So a destruction can come out of this. Like in the case of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda thought that it's permitted for everybody. So if I'm going to let you drag this bench here on the floor and I'm not going to comment, people will think that this is permitted. And really, there's a gzeira. What's the gzeira? Gzeira alisa de sheisha. The gzeira is of a floor that's made out of marble, otu alisa de alma. Because of the floor that's not finished with a marble and it's made out of just dirt, and when you drag the bench on the floor, it can make an indent in the floor and it's a toiled of chayrish and it's also on Shabbos. So this is a gzeira, therefore he told him he's not allowed to drag the bench. Okay, so this is the second story in connection to what we just brought. Now the Gemara brings a third story that's connected to this case of dragging a bench. Reish Knishte de Batzra. Basically the shamish in a shul, in Batzra. Garar Safsala was dragging a bench le'ela mirab Yirmiyah Rabbe, in front of Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbe. Amalei, so Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbe said to him, come on, according to whose opinion are you doing this? Rab Shimon, are you doing this according to Rab Shimon's opinion? What's Rab Shimon's opinion? Rab Shimon holds you're allowed to drag a bench on Shabbos. We once learned about this before already, and the reason is because whatever charitz, whatever indent will happen in the ground, he's not being mechaven. And as long as you do a malach on Shabbos and you're not mechaven, there's no isser. So are you dragging the bench on the ground according to Rab Shimon's opinion? That's not necessarily going to be permitted. When did Rab Shimon say that you're allowed to drag a bench on Shabbos? If it's a large bench, it's too heavy for you to carry, so you have no choice. It's impossible otherwise. But if it's a small bench and you can lift it up on your shoulders, did he say it's allowed? Now, so this is what Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbe said. Rab Shimon only said his opinion by a large bench that you can't drag on you can't carry, you have to drag on the ground, not by a small bench. Dr. Gemara Opliga de Ule. Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbe is arguing on the way Ule interpreted Rab Shimon's opinion. Because Ule said Machloikis Beketanim. The argument between Rab Shimon and Rabbi Yehuda about dragging a bench on Shabbos on the ground was only regarding a small bench. that you could lift up off the ground, you could carry on your shoulders. And then Rab Shimon says that it's permitted. Aval bigdoilim, if it was a large bench, divrakot mutter. Even Rab Yehuda that argued with Rab Shimon, everybody would agree that it's permitted to carry it, to drag it, that is, on the ground, because it's too heavy. So fakat, Ola held that Rab Shimon's opinion was dafke by ktanim. He held that was his chiddush, that even by small bench that you could pick up, you're still allowed to drag it on the ground. Mos of Rav Yosef. Now Rav Yosef asks a question, and both of these opinions, Rabbi Yirmiyah Abba's opinion and Ola's opinion, regarding how to understand what Rab Shimon was speaking about. Learned in Abraise, and this was quoted before already. Rab Shimon Oimer, Goyrer Adam, Mita, Kise, Vesafsal. A person on Shabbos is allowed to drag a bed, a chair, a bench on the ground, as long as he doesn't have the kavanah to make that indent in the ground. So katani gedolim, v'katani katanim. In this braise, it uses an example of a chair, which is a smaller thing that you can carry, and it uses an example of a bed or a bench, which is larger, that a person can't carry. So we see, not like Ula and not Rabbi Yirmiyah Abba. Rab Shimon said it's halacha by both, gedolim and katanim. So the Gemara explains that each one gives an answer according to his opinion. So kashi l'tarvayu. This is a question on both. Each one of them answered according to their opinion. Since it says a chair, was talking about a very light bed that's going to be similar to a chair that you can carry. Rabbi Yirmiyah says, if it says that there was a bed which is so heavy, so the chair we're talking about was a large chair similar to the bed. So therefore, there's no question on both of their opinions. Now the Gemara brings from another case, B'nigaya to the halacha of shatnez, where it tries to bring a raya about this subject. Masav Rabbe, so Rabbe asked the following question: Moichrei ksus, people that are selling clothing. So what they would do is, in order to show the clothing to people, how you wear it and so on, so they would wear this clothing to show it to others, just to present it when they're selling it. And we're talking here about something which is shatnez. Moichrin kedarkon, they can sell it and wear it to show it for others. Ubulvad shelo yiskaven b'chama mepnei achama, as long as you're not going to wear it in the time of the summer and to shield yourself from the sun. Ubikshomim mepnei akshamim, or in the winter or in the rain to shield yourself from the rain. So the point is, the isser of shatnez is only if you're having hana of it. If you're doing it for the hana of the garment that you're wearing, that's the problem. If you're just wearing it without the intention of the hana, that's not a problem. The hatznuin, the discreet ones, the ones that want to be mahadir in this isser, mafshilin b'makal achirein. So they wouldn't wear it to present it, to show it to others. They would just throw it on their backs and have it presented hanging on a stick. So that's the brayse that we learned. So the Gemara now says, you have the option to do like the tznu. You don't have to wear it to present it to people. You could just hang it on a stick, or today you have a mannequin. You hang it that way. You don't have to wear it. So now this case is compared to what we were speaking here about on Shabbos, when you have a bench or a chair that's small enough that it's light enough for you to carry. And what does it say over here? As long as you're not having kavanah to have the hana of it, shari Rab Shimon. Rab Shimon says it's allowed. So you see over lechatchila this is allowed. So you see over here that Rab Shimon's heter was even in a case of ktanim, like Ola said, not like Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabba. So Tiyufte, the Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabba, Tiyufte. This refutes Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabba's opinion. This is the end of the Gemara for today. Let me just add quickly one point, that this Gemara is the raya for a very famous opinion of the Aruch, which is quoted in Taisvis, a few places in Shas, benegay to the concept of psik reisha. Psik reisha is when you do something without kavanah, but it's impossible that the malacha shouldn't happen. You didn't have kavanah for the malacha, but the malacha is definitely going to happen, and then it's aser. Over here you have a person wearing shatnez, and he's wearing the shatnez without having the kavanah to have hana. But whether he's having the kavanah or not, he's having hana. The fact is he's wearing the garment. So Taisus over here says that it has to be speaking in a case that he's wearing other clothing and he's putting this just as another layer, and therefore he's not necessarily having hana. The Aruch says no, he's having hana, but because it's a psik reisha deloi michele, it's a kind of psikresha that he's not interested in the hana, he's just doing it to present to others the garment that's for sale, a psikresha deloi nichele, where he's not interested at all for this hana at all. It's merely just a presentation for the sale. The halacha of psikresha doesn't apply. This sugi right over here is one of his rayas to his chiddush. That's the end of the Gemara today. Atzlacha Rab, everybody, and everything you do. We should only hear good news. Everyone should be gesund and stark. B'nissen nigalu, b'nissen hasidin ligal. Tonight's Yud Aleph Nissen. We should hear good news, and we should see big giluyim taken from Miyad Mamish with the coming of Mashiach. Lamata Masara Tvachim.